Well, we're making a number of changes to bus routes with stock through this month because what we have found is that there are a number of buses that have been arriving at schools outside of the 20-minute window before the school day starts. And both our contract says that, but also it came to light when we were taking a much closer look at all of our operational components as part of the NSTU's Work to Rule campaign, and it really became of an interest to us at that point because we always wanted to ensure that there was going to be students who were supervised not only when they're at school, traveling to, traveling from, but also when they arrive.
Was this the first day of the changes then?
No, this is in fact not the first changes. We made some changes back in December to some bus routes in the Duncan McMillan and Musquodoboit Rural High families of schools, and we're working through the remaining families of schools in the board through the next few weeks in January.
So the goal is that students, any bus student will arrive within that 20-minute window?
Well, both our contract and the directive from the NSTU under Work to Rule talks about student supervision starting 20 minutes before instructional time begins. So we have gone to stock and said, look, we understand that there are buses that are arriving outside of that time. We need to make sure that they all arrive within that time because it's actually what our contract calls for.
So has it taken a little while for scheduling?
Well, it's a very complex issue because actually most of our buses arrive within that time, but if you make a change to one route of a couple of minutes, it has a domino effect of affecting other routes. So we have to make sure that everything complies, and it really is a juggling act or a ballet, whatever you might want to call it, to take 23,000 students and have them arrive in all of 136 of our schools within a 20-minute window.
So it's 23,000 bus students?
There are 23,000 bus students roughly in our school system, which is just under half of all students that we have in our system. So we have 250 buses, approximately 750 routes that those buses would run in a morning, and to make sure that they all comply is probably going to require a number of very slight changes to a lot of routes throughout the system that otherwise were already within that time frame.
And so over the past few weeks and then going forward until all the changes are made, what's happening at the schools where students are arriving before the 20 minutes?
Well, students for the most part have been arriving within the 20 minutes. For those who arrive outside, we've been ensuring that there has been an adult there to take care of them, whether it's a volunteer, whether it's been someone from the administration that has been there, could be another, in some cases, another employee that is not a member of the NSTU, or in some cases we've hired monitors to do that.
And why not just leave it with that system, with there being an adult supervising the kids? Why actually change the bus schedules?
Well, in reality, it's what our contract calls for, and we want to ensure that stock is complying with all components of the contract. But in reality, what we want to see happen is that the students arrive, have enough time to gather their things, and then get right into class. We don't necessarily think that having the students stay at school for an extended period of time is in their best interest if there's not going to be instruction or some types of activities for them to do.
Okay. Is there a cost involved?
There wouldn't be for us. We have a contract with stock that we pay on a yearly basis, so if there is a cost, if there is a result of stock having to put on extra buses, that would be something they have to bear.
Okay. And what's the contractual agreement when you say you have to remain within what the contract says?
Well, what I'm talking about is that we, in the contract, have in it that all buses will arrive within 20 minutes of the start of instructional time. So we're just making sure that they adhere to that. And so what has happened in the past is there's been a lot of history in terms of students arriving early where it might have been something because they had some type of activity that was going on that may not even be happening anymore, or maybe a case of where we had a courtesy of we were taking some students to a high school and then we're going on to the junior high and they were arriving outside of that 20-minute window. So it's a real juggling act, just bring everybody back within that window, and as such we're having to adjust some routes, we're having to perhaps create a new route or two, and it will take the next few weeks to get that all sorted.
Presumably Work to Rule will end sometime in the future. So will the bus schedules go back to how they were, or will this be a permanent change?
Our expectation is this is permanent, that all students will arrive within inside that 20-minute window. What Stock does every year starting in the spring is they look at what the upcoming year is going to be, and they take the projected enrollments, and those students are going to require busing, and they adjust on a yearly basis. What's happening now is that we're also doing an adjustment within the school year.
Okay. So were they breaking the contract before, or were they doing more of a courtesy?
Well, in the strictest sense of the word, they weren't adhering to all aspects of the contract with regards to some of the buses that were arriving. Most were arriving within the window. There were some that were not. And so we're just working with them to ensure when this is all done that all buses will.
And presumably it's also stated within the Education Act?
I don't know about that.
It's separate, it's a contract.
This is in regards to our contract.
Okay. Anything that I missed?
No.
Okay.